Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Easter to you all. I hope that you're having a wonderful day at home or inside. It stinks that it's not bright and sunny, but so be it. I thought I'd take some time today and post our first video for the week, despite it being Sunday already, as we cover the topic of Sabbath and fasting. So within both of these, remember, this is a fight to be with Jesus. So this is our last week where we're talking specifically about the goal to be with Jesus. Now, I would argue everything that we're talking about the rest of the semester all has the goal of being with Jesus, but it's going to change a little bit of the emphasis as we move into becoming like Jesus and doing what Jesus did. Those things all still bring us into the presence of God as we fight for joy together. But like I said, this is the last of the particular prompts and topics for being with Jesus. So like I said, we're talking about Sabbath and fasting. Today, specifically Sabbath. So real quick, what is Sabbath? What do I mean by Sabbath? Well, the way this word is defined in Hebrew is just to stop. It doesn't just mean Sunday, and it doesn't mean go to church, and it doesn't mean no working specifically. What it means is to stop. So it's and it doesn't mean what we oftentimes think of it to mean. Maybe is to sit on the couch, to watch TV or Netflix, to not go to work. But it's resisting, it's removing, it's abstaining. So you're going to see this theme a lot. Like we already talked about, the abstaining with silence and solitude. We're going to talk about abstaining and stopping with Sabbath, and we're going to talk about stopping and abstaining with fasting, because we see that we're a gluttonous people for more than just food, but lots of stuff, and those things can oftentimes, it can be helpful to remove those things in order to illuminate our hunger and how Jesus satisfies that hunger. So that includes Sabbath. So Sabbath is stopping, and it traditionally has looked like it being a whole day, usually Sunday, where we do Jesus things and we don't do secular or work things. And I know we all have preconceived notions of this to some degree. Maybe you guys have less than me. Like to me, growing up, it was against the rules for people to like mow their lawns on Sundays or to go out to restaurants on Sundays. Like literally, I did not do that growing up. We went to church twice. We came home. For some reason, we watched football, even though none of us liked football, and we took naps. Even though I didn't need a nap, I'd watch a movie or play video games or something. So maybe you have a preconceived notion of this. Like maybe you think that a Sabbath is just rigid, it's legalistic, it's all about rules, it's old school. Or maybe you're even sitting there thinking, dude, my parents don't even do this. And to all you parents who are watching, hey, maybe you don't even do this. That's okay. And maybe you even think, well, I'm not Jewish, which is who this was written to. And I'm say, yeah, you're right. But here's the reality. You are human. You are human. You have limits and you have lusts. That's the two things. Like you have limits and you have lusts. Like you have cravings and you have limits. Like we all need sleep. We all need rest. Case does not need to be made for that. If you're students, maybe you feel this very lightly right now because you're not, working 40 hours a week trying to do school and life and raise kids and all that stuff, but you will one day, and that's why we're talking about it now. But you all have lusts, you have desires, you have cravings. We are a desiring people. We're affection-driven people. So when you got out of bed this morning, you did so because you wanted something. You wanted to eat breakfast, you wanted to go to the bathroom, you wanted to get started with your day, you wanted to accomplish something, you wanted to watch something, you wanted to do something. Or you wanted to get your parents off your back because they said it's time to get up and watch the Easter service at home. Whatever it was, you're ruled by affections. You did something because you got out of bed because you wanted something. And so we talk about this at Redeemer. We call it the fight for joy, is the fight to find joy in Jesus. It's a fight to want Jesus. It's a fight to have affection for Jesus and to desire him. So what we believe is that this comes from being with Jesus. Like when we die and be with Jesus for eternity, we will have invincible joy. But for now, we need to fight to be with Jesus. And Sabbath, or stopping, is a part of the fight to be with Jesus. And it's a fight to reorient our desires toward him by removing other things. This is largely done by removing other things that we desire, to feel that there is a gap in our hearts, and to fill that and ask the Holy Spirit to fill that with himself. This is why Jesus said, or maybe part of the reason why, I don't overstretch, but part of the reason why Jesus says that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for us, to help us to fight for joy in Jesus. It's a help for us. Now, there's a reality that we need to sit with God in this. So listen to this quote. Listen to this quote. It's from a guy named A.J. Swoboda. I don't know much about him, but he says this: the Sabbath has largely been forgotten by the church, which has uncritically mimicked the rhythms of the industrial and success-obsessed West. So he's saying, hey, we're all about success and work and getting stuff done and what we want. So, which is just culture. So he's saying we, like the church, have been doing this too. So he says, what is the result? Our road-weary, exhausted churches have largely failed to integrate the Sabbath into their lives as a vital element of Christian discipleship. It's not as though we do not love God. That's not what I'm saying either. We love God deeply. We just do not know how to sit with God anymore. We have become perhaps the most emotionally exhausted, psychologically overworked, spiritually malnourished people in history. He's saying that we don't know how to sit with God, and I think you're all feeling that already when we go through this silence and solitude stuff. And I just want to keep illuminating this. Like, we don't know how to sit with God. We don't know how to be with him. You might even love him. You might be a Christian already. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we don't know how to sit with him. Like, imagine if I didn't know how to sit with Allie, but I still loved her. I loved having her around in the house to some degree, but I don't know how to sit with her and talk with her or listen to her or just be near her. Imagine that. It'd be weird. Wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be a real relationship. So I want to help us to sit with God. And that includes Sabbath. That includes taking a day where we don't do certain things and we do other things. So what does this look like? Also, let me back up and say, can I just mention that God rested on the seventh day, and that's a good thing? If God did it, it's a good thing. Jesus rested on the took a Sabbath but he still picked rain, all that stuff. But like, if God did this is a good thing. And I'm not going to unpack all that. You can argue with me, whatever. I'm just saying this is a good thing. I'm not trying to convince you to do some new rule. I'm just trying to convince you that ice cream is delicious, and that's what the Sabbath is. It's like saying that ice cream is delicious. It's not that big of an argument. Just try it. So what does this look like? So ask yourself the question, what would 24 hours of resounding joy look like? What would it take for you to have 24 hours that fills your soul with deep, resounding joy? What does it look like for us to observe the Sabbath? Or we observe, like, to help you understand that, we observe holidays like Christmas and Easter. What do? I love to observe holidays and make them a really big deal and celebrate and have rhythms and have rituals and have specific things that we do guaranteed. Like, I make a ham every Christmas. And I think today we started a new tradition with our Easter where we're going to make breakfast food, like monkey bread and egg bakes and crud like that, because it's so good. But what did it look like? So for me, a Sabbath that I'm still working on, one thing I know that for sure that's a part of it is we eat either cinnamon rolls or donuts. It's been cinnamon rolls for weeks now. Every morning, every Friday morning, because that's when I Sabbath. I drink lots of coffee. And there's so much more. But what would it look like for you to have a deep, resounding joy for 24 hours? That's what I'm asking you to consider. So here's your prompt. It's really simple. List out things that bring you joy and life. List them out. That's list number one. And then the second list is list out what does not bring you joy in life. So most of you don't have jobs. So I'm going to bet it's going to include school, homework, housework, stuff like that. And then the third thing you need to do is do that next Sunday. Because I know you all, like, Sunday can be your Sabbath. For me, it needs to be Friday for work, but Sunday can be your Sabbath. So list out what brings you joy in life, list out what doesn't, and then do what brings you joy in life, and don't do the other things. Do those other things the other 6 days of the week. And then the last thing is put your phone away. Get rid of it. Turn it off. Put your phone away. Maybe even put the iPads away, the computer, whatever it is, but put your phone away. And if that sounds impossible, start with half a day or 6 hours or like 4 hours or 2 hours or something like that, or an hour. Put the phone away and just see what happens. Make some gaps and see what happens. So, let me just encourage you in this and see this as simple and light and easy, and just come and enjoy this. Try it. Ask your parents about it. Talk to them and see what they think and what this might look like for you guys to do some enjoyable things together as a family in this quarantine time. Remember, I'm rooting for you, and that this is just for you to be with Jesus all the more. Go in peace. Blessings to you.